The wallet smells like leather and cigarettes. Grace holds it under the flickering neon of the Pojangmaka tent, rain drumming on vinyl overhead. Inside, black cards with no names. A folded photo of a woman she doesn't recognize. And cash. More cash than she's seen in 6 months of scraping tips from rude customers who call her that African girl like it's her entire identity. Her fingers tremble. Not from cold. From knowing that keeping this would solve everything. Rent. Her sister's tuition back in Nairobi. The medication her mother needs. But that's not who she is. She slides the wallet into her apron pocket and steps back into the rain-soaked alley behind Myeongdong, where Seoul's glittering surface gives way to its underbelly. The man who left it was tall, sharp-suited, with a scar threading through his left eyebrow. He'd ordered soju and didn't touch it. Sat. Then left without a word when his phone buzzed. Now she's walking toward the address printed on a business card tucked inside. Jang Enterprises. Private office. 11th floor. Before I go further, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing how far our Afro-Korean stories are reaching. And if you enjoy these tales, like and subscribe to keep them alive. Now, let's continue. The building looms like a glass cathedral. Grace's sneakers squeak against marble as she enters the lobby. The security guard, a young guy with bleached hair, looks her up and down, taking in her stained uniform, her box braids slipping from their tie, the smell of fried mandu clinging to her skin. Delivery entrance is around back, he says in Korean. She answers in the same language, clean and precise. I'm here to see Mr. Jang. He left something. The guard's smirk falters. He makes a call. 30 seconds later, he's escorting her to the elevator, silent now, avoiding her eyes. The 11th floor is all dark wood and soft lighting. A woman in a tailored blazer meets her at the elevator doors. No smile. Just appraisal. You're the one who called. Grace nods. He left this at my stand. She pulls out the wallet. The woman's expression doesn't change, but something flickers behind her eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or suspicion. Wait here. Grace stands in the hallway. Her pulse throbs in her throat. This was stupid. She should have mailed it. Should have left it at the tent. But something in her, the part her grandmother raised, the part that believes doing right matters even when the world doesn't, wouldn't let her walk away. The door at the end of the hall opens. He's younger than she expected. Mid-30s, maybe. The scar looks deeper up close, a pale line bisecting his brow like a question mark. He's wearing a black shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, and when he looks at her, it's not gratitude she sees. It's calculation. You didn't take anything, he says. Not a question. No. Why not? Grace hesitates. Because I'm not a thief, she wants to say. 'Cause I was raised better. But his eyes are too sharp, too knowing, like he's testing the weight of her soul. Because it wasn't mine, she says finally. He steps closer. She smells cologne, woodsy, expensive, and something else. Danger, maybe. The kind that doesn't announce itself. Most people would have kept it. Especially someone like you. The words land like a slap. Someone like you. Foreign. Or expendable. Grace lifts her chin. Most people aren't me. For a long moment he just stares. Then he laughs. Low, almost private. No, he says. They're not. He gestures to the woman in the blazer, who hands him a manila envelope. He holds it out to Grace. Finder's fee. Grace doesn't take it. I didn't do it for money. I know. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. But you're going to take it anyway. Because in 3 days I'm going to call you. And you're going to work for me. Her stomach drops. I don't. It's not a request. The woman steps forward, pressing the envelope into Grace's hands. It's heavy. Too heavy. There's a phone inside, the man, Mr. Jang, says. When it rings, answer. If you don't. He pauses, tilting his head. Well, let's just say people who disappoint me don't usually get second chances. Grace's hands go cold. This wasn't a test of honesty. It was a recruitment. And she just passed. The elevator doors close behind her, and Grace stares at the envelope in her lap, rain streaking the taxi window as Seoul blurs past. In 7th side. 10 million won. And a sleek black phone already vibrating. One new message. Welcome to the family, Grace. Don't make me regret this. She looks up and sees the taxi driver watching her in the rearview mirror. His eyes are the same cold gray as Mr. Jang's. The taxi driver's eyes hold hers for 3 seconds too long. Grace's breath catches. Her fingers tighten around the envelope. The phone vibrates again, once, twice, but she doesn't look down. Can't. Because the driver is smiling now. And it's the kind of smile that knows things. Things about her. Things about the weight in her lap and the choice she didn't realize she was making when she walked into that building. Jang Nim takes care of his people, the driver says in Korean, voice soft as rain on glass. As long as they stay loyal. Then his eyes return to the road, and the moment shatters. Grace exhales. Her heart hammers against her ribs. She wants to throw the envelope out the window, jump from the moving car, disappear into the labyrinth of Seoul's backstreets where girls like her, foreign, invisible, can vanish without a trace. But her fingers won't uncurl. Because inside that envelope is her mother's medication. Her sister's school fees. 6 months of dignity. The taxi stops outside her Gazawan, a glorified closet with a bed and a hot plate in Itaewon's cheapest corner. She pays with her own crumpled bills, not the blood money in the envelope, and stumbles into the building's narrow stairwell. The walls smell like kimchi and mold. Someone's television blares through thin doors. Baby cries. She locks herself inside her room and dumps the envelope onto the bed. The cash spills out like an accusation. The phone lands face up, screen glowing. New message. Tomorrow. 6 p.m. Dress well. Someone will collect you. Grace sits on the edge of her bed, box braids falling around her face. Her hands shake. She thinks of her grandmother's voice, crackling over a bad connection from Nairobi. Gracie, there are 2 kinds of power in this world. The kind that takes and the kind that gives. Never forget which one you are. But what if you don't have the luxury of choosing? She opens her phone, her real one, cracked screen and dying battery, and scrolls to her sister Amara's last message. Mama's getting worse. Doctors say we need to pay up front for the next treatment. I'm sorry, Grace. I know you're doing everything you can. Grace closes her eyes. In the darkness behind her lids, she sees her mother's face. Hears her sister's voice. Feels the weight of an ocean between her and everyone she loves. When she opens her eyes, she picks up Jang's phone and types, "I'll be ready." The reply comes instantly. "Good girl." Something in those 2 words makes her skin crawl. The next evening, Grace stands in front of her Gazawan's shared bathroom mirror wearing the only dress she owns. A simple black number she bought for job interviews that never turned into jobs. She's lined her eyes, twisted her braids into an elegant crown, and painted her lips the color of dried roses. She looks like someone else. Someone who belongs in glass buildings and expensive cars. Someone who isn't afraid. The lie almost convinces her. At exactly 6 p.m., a black sedan pulls up outside. The driver is a woman this time. Young, pretty, with a bob cut sharp enough to draw blood. She doesn't speak. Just opens the back door and waits. Grace slides into leather seats that smell like new money. The door closes with a sound like a vault ceiling. They drive through Seoul's arteries, past Gangnam's electric glow, through neighborhoods where neon signs promise everything and deliver nothing, until the city begins to thin and the buildings grow taller, lonelier. The car stops in front of a restaurant Grace has only seen in magazines. The kind where reservations are made 6 months in advance and the menu has no prices. "Top floor," the driver says. Her first words. "He's waiting." Grace steps out into cool evening air. Her heels, borrowed from a Kenyan friend who works in Hongdae, click against pavement. Inside, a hostess in a silk hanbok bows so deeply Grace feels embarrassed. They take a private elevator lined with mirrors. Grace watches herself multiply into infinity. A black girl in a cheap dress, pretending she belongs in a world that has never wanted her. The doors open onto a private dining room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Seoul's sprawl, the city breathing light like a living thing. And at a low table in the center of the room sits Jang, flanked by two men in dark suits who look like they were carved from stone. "Grace," Jang says, gesturing to the cushion across from him. "Sit." She does, tucking her legs beneath her the way she learned from watching Korean dramas. Respectful, careful. The men don't look at her, but she feels their attention like heat. Jang pours her soju from a crystal bottle. "Do you know why you're here?" "No." "Honest." Smiles. "I like that. Most people lie to me. They think it's what I want." He leans back, studying her. "You returned my wallet. No hesitation. No negotiation. As kindness. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" Grace says nothing. She's learning that silence is sometimes the safest answer. "I'm going to tell you a story," Jang continues. 3 months ago, someone stole from me. Not money. Something more valuable. Information. About my business. My family. My weaknesses." His voice doesn't change, but the temperature in the room drops. "This person was someone I trusted. Someone I fed. Protected. Loved." One of the stone-faced men shifts slightly. "I need to find this person," Jang says. "And I need someone they won't suspect. Someone invisible. Someone who can move through Seoul's margins without drawing attention." He tilts his head. "Someone like you." Grace's mouth goes dry. "I'm not a spy." "No. You're better. You're a ghost. Foreign girls like you. People see you serving their food, cleaning their offices, but they don't see you. Your furniture. Scenery. And that, Grace, is the most valuable thing in the world to someone like me." Her stomach turns. "What if I say no?" Jang's smile doesn't waver. Then the Immigration Bureau receives an anonymous tip about a certain undocumented worker in Itaewon. "And your family in Nairobi loses the medical funding I've already deposited into their account." Grace's blood goes cold. "What?" He slides his phone across the table. On the screen, a bank transfer confirmation. To her mother's hospital. 4,000,001. Posted 2 hours ago. "Insurance," Jang says softly. "I take care of my people, Grace. But I also make sure they stay." She stares at the number. At the cage built from her own desperation. "What do you need me to do?" The words taste like ash. Jang's smile widens. He pulls out a photograph and places it on the table. Grace looks down, and her entire world tilts. Because the face in the photo is someone she knows. Mrs. Han. The Korean woman who runs the pojangmaka where Grace works. The one who hired her when no one else would. Who taught her to make kimchi jjigae and defended her against drunk customers. Who called her Yuri Tal, our daughter. The woman who has been kind to her in a country that hasn't. "She's the one who betrayed me," Jang says, voice like silk over razor wire. "And you're going to help me destroy her." Grace can't breathe. Can't think. The room spins. "Why her?" she whispers. "Because she used to be mine. My aunt. Family. And family that turns." He pauses, something dark crossing his face. "Family that turns burns the hottest when it falls." Grace looks at the photograph. At Mrs. Han's weathered hands and tired smile. At the woman who gave her a chance when she had nothing. "I need 3 days," Jang says. "Find out where she's hiding the data. Report back." Simple. Simple. Like betrayal ever is. Grace picks up the soju glass with trembling hands and drains it. The burn feels like penance. "And if I can't?" Jang leans forward. Close enough that she can see the scar tissue beneath his eyebrow. The old violence that made him. "Then I'll assume you're working with her." "And Grace." His hand covers hers. Cold. Possessive. "You don't want to know what I do to traitors." He releases her. Sits back. "Business concluded. Someone will drive you home. You start tomorrow." Grace stands on numb legs. "Pose." Leaves. In the elevator, her reflection fractures across mirrors. 100 versions of herself, all trapped, all falling. Her phone buzzes. Mrs. Han. Gracia, can you come in early tomorrow? I'm making your favorite. Mandatsi. Like home. Grace's vision blurs. And in that moment, staring at kindness offered by a woman she's now supposed to destroy, Grace realizes something that turns her blood to ice. She's not the hunter in this story. She's the weapon. And weapons don't get to choose who they cut. The mandatsi are still warm when Grace arrives at the Pojangmaka the next morning. Mrs. Han's face lights up like dawn breaking. Genuine, unguarded joy at seeing her. She's wearing her usual flour-dusted apron, gray hair pulled back in a practical bun, and she's made enough of the fried dough to feed an army. The smell hits Grace like a memory. Her grandmother's kitchen in Nairobi before Seoul, before survival became a full-time job, before she learned that kindness could be a trap. Sit, Mrs. Han fusses, pouring milky tea. You look tired, Yuri Tal. Are you eating enough? Grace's throat closes. She sits, takes a mandatsi. Tastes like childhood and betrayal. Mrs. Han, she starts, but the older woman waves her off. I told you, call me Imo. We're family now, aren't we? Family. The word sits in Grace's stomach like lead. She watches Mrs. Han bustle around the tiny tent, preparing for the day's customers, humming an old Korean trot song. This woman took a chance on a desperate foreign girl when no one else would. Taught her the language. Shielded her from immigration raids. Slipped extra bills into her pay when rent came due. And now Grace is supposed to find evidence that will destroy her. She pulls out her phone, Jang's phone, and pretends to check messages while actually scanning the tent. Looking for hiding places. External hard drives. USB sticks. Anything that might contain the stolen information Jang wants back. But all she sees is a woman who has built a life from nothing. Just like her. Imo, Grace says carefully. Can I ask you something? Mrs. Han looks up from chopping scallions. Of course. Have you always worked here? In Myeongdong. Something flickers across the older woman's face. Brief. Almost invisible. Not always. I used to work somewhere else. A long time ago. She returns to chopping, but her hands aren't quite steady. Why do you ask? Just curious. You never talk about your past. The past is the past. Mrs. Han's voice is firm. What matters is now. And now you're here and we have work to do. Subject closed. Grace helps prep ingredients, her mind racing. She thinks about the bank transfer. Her mother's treatment. Her sister's tuition. The cage Jang built from her own love for her family. But she also thinks about Mrs. Han's hands. Scarred from years of cooking, rough from labor. And the way those hands have only ever been gentle with her. At noon the lunch rush hits. Grace serves bibimbap and tteokbokki to salarymen and students. Her body moving on autopilot while her thoughts spiral. She has 2 days left. 2 days to choose between the woman who saved her and the family an ocean away who needs her. Some choices aren't choices at all. They're just different flavors of loss. That night, Grace stays late to help clean. Mrs. Han sends her to the storage room and back for more napkins. And that's when she sees it. A loose panel in the wall, slightly ajar. Her heart hammers. She glances back. Mrs. Han is out front, wiping down tables. Grace's fingers find the panel's edge and pull. Behind it, a small safe. Digital keypad. This is it. This is what Jang sent her to find. Grace's hands tremble as she photographs it with Jang's phone. The evidence he needs to justify whatever horror he's planning. But as she's about to close the panel, something makes her stop. Photograph taped inside. Faded. It shows a young Mrs. Han, barely older than Grace is now, standing next to a teenage boy with sharp features and a scar bisecting his left eyebrow. Grace's blood turns to ice as understanding crashes over her. Mrs. Han wasn't just family. She was the one who raised him, protected him. And somehow, somewhere, that love curdled into betrayal. But which one betrayed first? Grace. He spins. Mrs. Han stands in the doorway, face unreadable. I see you found it. Grace's mouth goes dry. I'm sorry. I wasn't. Don't lie to me, child. Mrs. Han's voice is tired. Oh, tired. He sent you, didn't he? My nephew. The words hang between them like a blade. Grace nods slowly. He said you stole from him. Mrs. Han laughs. Bitter, broken. Is that what he told you? She moves into the small room, and Grace notices for the first time how old she looks. How worn. Did he tell you what I actually took? Information. About his business. Evidence. Mrs. Han corrects. Of what he's become. What the family business turned him into. She opens the safe, 4 digits muscle memory, and pulls out a USB drive. Names. Proof of every life he's destroyed building his empire. I was going to take it to the prosecutors. End it before he becomes what his father was. She holds out the drive to Grace. But then I met you. And I thought. Her voice cracks. I thought maybe if I could save one person, make one thing right, it would balance the scales. All the people I couldn't save when I worked for his father. When I looked the other way because I was too afraid to act. Grace stares at the USB drive. At the weight of 2 kinds of justice. He'll kill you, she whispers. If I don't give him what he wants, he'll. I know. Mrs. Han's smile is sad. But some things are worth dying for. And maybe. She touches Grace's cheek with those scarred, gentle hands. Maybe one African girl who chose kindness over survival deserves a chance at a real life. Not this half-existence where you're always afraid. Tears burn Grace's eyes. He already paid my mother's hospital. If I don't, I know about the money, child. I've known since yesterday. Mrs. Han pulls out her own phone, shows Grace a bank transfer. From her account. To Grace's family. The exact same amount Jang sent. I moved it to a different account under your sister's name. His money will bounce in 2 days. By then you'll be gone. Grace's legs nearly give out. What? There's a flight to Nairobi tomorrow night. Tickets in your name. When you land, take this. She presses the USB drive into Grace's palm. To the Kenyan embassy. They have contacts with Korean prosecutors. You testify remotely. Stay safe. Let me finish what I started. He'll torture you for information. I've lived with torture for 30 years, Yuri Tal. Watching him become a monster and doing nothing. This. She gestures around the tiny tent. This was my penance. And you were my absolution. Don't take that from me. Grace is crying now. Full body sobs that shake her frame. I can't just leave you. You can. You will. Mrs. Han pulls her into a fierce hug. Because you're the kind of person who returns wallets in the rain. Who chooses right even when it costs everything. And people like you don't belong in my nephew's world. She pulls back, wiping Grace's tears with rough thumbs. Now go. Before I change my mind and we both end up dead. Grace stands in Incheon airport 30 hours later, boarding pass trembling in her hand. Jang's phone has been ringing non-stop. 17 missed calls. 9 texts, each more threatening than the last. She dropped her real phone in the Han River. Cut her hair. Became a ghost. On the TV above the gate, breaking news scrolls in Korean. Major arrests in organized crime ring. Anonymous tip leads to raid. Grace's breath catches. She looks at the USB drive one last time before tucking it into her bra. Mrs. Han kept her word. Turned herself in with enough evidence to bury Jang's entire operation. Took the fall. Took the revenge into her own hands. The only way that mattered. Not violence. Not blood. Truth. Grace boards the plane. Finds her seat. And as Seoul shrinks beneath her, she finally lets herself breathe. Her phone, a new one Mrs. Han slipped into her bag, buzzes with a single message from an unknown number. Fly safe, Yuri Tal. You gave me the courage to be brave. Now go be extraordinary. Grace presses her palm against the window. whispers a prayer in Swahili for a woman who chose redemption over survival. Below, Seoul glitters like a city of stars, beautiful and brutal, and behind her now. And ahead, somewhere in the darkness between continents, Grace feels something unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Not safety. Not yet. But something close. Freedom. The kind you earn by choosing who you become, even when the world tries to choose for you. The kind that tastes like mandatsi and second chances. The kind worth fighting for.